Hi, Tokyo Tops! How was your quarantine?
I'm glad that it's over. I'm out of quarantine now, but it hasn't really changed too much because of course we're in the state of emergency. In February, that's the time in Japan that they refer to as shinseikatsu.
That's April.
In order to do shinseikatsu,
In April, they have to do preparations.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's where we are now.
The Japanese schedule is very different from the rest of the world. The school enrollment day is April the 1st. And also like for company, like for newcomers joining companies, it's always like April the 1st as well. It's a period of time that lots of people coming to a different city or going to, like study.
It might be a good opportunity to talk about moving in Japan and specifically moving as gay people. A common thing in Japan is that when couples move out together, they tend to be roommates. And that's just an unfortunate side of Japan. They're a little bit behind the times with regard to that still. When I moved, I've always moved as a single man. I wasn't saying like, oh, I need all these rooms for all these orgies I'm gonna have. As foreigners, we have a hard enough time as it is to get a place.
I would say like about half of the place gonna reject you just because you're not Japanese.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, we have the gay layer part if you want to move in with your partners. Where just like same-sex roommates, it's also very rare, I would say, in Japan. Actually, I did some research on sumo. They conducted the survey among oyasan. Landlords, yes. Only 36.7% of them allowed same-sex roommates to move in to their place. The rest of the people are not so supportive. Actually, I have done it before with my Japanese boyfriend.
Yeah.
We got lots of rejection, just they were calling different like landlords and saying, we have two boys who want to live together. They're friends and one of them is Chinese, one of them is Japanese. And they have to cover a lot for my part. They say, oh, this Chinese person looks very
perfect, beautiful, you look like Linda Evangelista.
Nope. Reliable, honest.
Yeah. So they have to give like the oyasan lots of like personal background information
to
and
like comfort them almost, reassure them.
To reassure them.
So in Japan, for those of you who don't know, they require what's called a guarantor, a hoshounin. Usually it is a Japanese person, like parents, vouch for you and to be on the hook essentially if anything goes wrong, if you do anything bad. If you don't have direct parents here, obviously I don't, it can be a real challenge. They have systems here, they have companies that you actually pay to be guarantors on your behalf. And actually some places now, they don't even care about like
guarantors?
Guarantor people, they always want a guarantor company. Yeah, so that's changing.
It makes more sense, right? It's more reliable. What if someone just don't have any friends?
So like when I was moving as well, a number of places obviously already wrote me off for being a foreigner. And then the ones that didn't looked at me really suspiciously regarding like why I wanted more than a closet. And then the people who voiced their suspicions said like, oh, this foreigner, he's probably gonna have a whole bunch of parties. Why do you wanna move as a single person?
Have so much space, right?
So you're gonna do something strange, you're gonna have big parties, or you're gonna have people over, sleeping over. And I had to explain like in my culture, this is not even that big. He had to do some like, cause he found out where I worked and stuff like that. And I was speaking to him in Japanese the whole time. So he said the whole same sort of thing like,
you're perfect, you're beautiful, you look like Linda Evangelista, you're a model.
I was sitting here like, oh my God, like it's so annoying. And like, I'm glad at that point that I didn't say, oh, by the way, I also like dick. Another difficulty that you're gonna run into when coming to Japan is they tend to ask for what's called gift money. That's a month usually. Deposit, which can be 1 to 2 months. Require you to have a guarantor, which you'll probably have to pay a company to do that, which can be half a month. Then you have to pay your first month rent.
First 2 months rent for some places.
Right?
And like, also agency fee.
That's and the agency fee, that's another month. You're pretty much gonna be spending 5 to 6 months
times of your rent.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. So I paid like 60 man.
I think I spent 55man.
In general, Tokyo is a very convenient city. You have subways with the trains going everywhere. But if you want to like maximize your gay life experience, of course, like near Shinjuku area is probably the best. And one of the most popular like destinations where the areas that gay people choose is definitely Nakano. I think this is the only place that stands out of like everything.
The interesting thing about Nakano though is it's actually not gay for parties or anything, or clubs or bars. It's just because it's a residential gay area.
The most popular is Higashi Nakano. There are a lot of gyms.
Okay, but it's not all that. Higashi Nakano is it's newer. The buildings are newer.
Newer,
For
and
sure.
also it's more affordable, I would say.
Yeah, agreed.
It's like 2 stations away from Shinjuku.
Yeah.
As popular as Higashi Nakano, there's Nakano Sakaue. It's also very, very popular. I actually lived in Nakano Sakaue when I first arrived in Japan.
I thought you lived in, was it Nakano Sakaue?
Nakano Sakaue.
What did you say?
Nakano Sakaue.
I thought you said Higashi Nakano Sakaue. Oh.
Excuse me.
When I talk to my Japanese gay friends, they always say like, oh, living in Nakano Sakaue is always like so pressured, so stressful. Because even if you go to a supermarket, you have to like dress up and wear like makeups. So it's a very competitive area. Yeah.
Like anywhere really in Nakano-ku, in the major stations, so many of our friends like live there. It's kind of nice because it's kind of like, it's not a gayborhood, but it is.
It is the unofficial gay neighborhood.
So it's kind of fun
Tokyo.
that like you can have your friends close by. Of all the places, I recommend it in so many ways, not just because it's gay, but because it's fun, it's accessible.
Yeah, and also they have partnership as well, Nakano-ku, and it's very affordable. It's not that expensive compared to the central Tokyo and also like around Shinjuku area.
And I think that's actually why one of the reasons it's because like it's so popular.
Tokyo in general is so like safe. It's so accessible everywhere.
People probably want to live closer to their work because that's the main commuting that you're doing on a daily basis, right?
But the funny thing is we are actually not living close to our office at all.
So I chose to do that twice. Every time I've entirely based my decisions around Shinjuku. I've always loved the west side of Tokyo.
If you're younger on the west side,
for sure.
There's Shinjuku, there's Shibuya, there's Harajuku, right?
Even Ikebukuro.
Yeah, I love Ikebukuro.
Yeah.
If you're Chinese, just living in Ikebukuro, it's so good. Like if I need to move next time, I'm gonna live in Ikebukuro.
I think that's a good. I love Ikebukuro. Ikebukuro is a tad. It's not really dangerous, but in the grand scheme of things, it's one of the more dangerous ones.
I mean, it's like you say Shinjuku is dangerous,
but it's
you
not
say like
really.
Kabukicho is dangerous.
It's
No,
not
it's
really.
nothing
It's not
compared
really.
to like downtown LA.
Yeah, that's true.
Downtown
That's true.
Vancouver, right?
Yeah.
On the list that I researched for popular gay areas, Takanobaba actually is one of them, and I know that you lived there.
Yeah, so I lived there a long
several
time,
years.
yeah.
So it's a college town. It's a
Yes.
college city, right? Did you had the chance to have fun with college?
Well, I
boys?
was in college at that time. I would just recommend if you're young. Things are cheap. Baba's cheap. Baba's cheaper, I think, than even Nakano. All the places we found were very college-like. They were a little bit outdated and a little bit old and not
they're
really.
old.
They're old. And that was fine because that was what we wanted at the time. We wanted the close proximity to Shinjuku. We wanted to be on the Yamanote Line, which is like perfect. It was just really old, freezing in the winter because it was an old rickety house.
Like structures and stuff,
Structures,
right?
yeah, sound wasn't good, all that stuff. But when you're young, you don't care.
You don't want the same quality of life when you're 30s or
So when
40s.
cockroaches were running through our house, I mean, that's what it was. Paris and I went to Pride. We found this like booth that was run by a place called Iris. And they were just like, when you're looking for a place or whatever, rent, like come to us, we're gay friendly and stuff like that. So that was my first encounter with them. I've occasionally seen, recently, probably because we're in that season, ads sort of being, aimed at gay apps and stuff like that, and gay people advertising their services.
So what they do is they still have to call different landlords.
Yes.
They still have the accessibility to the whole market with the mindset that they're helping an LGBT person because they are also LGBT people as well. The owner of the company and also like all the staff are all LGBT basically.
The real estate sort of staff would call these landlords and then would say all these things like, oh, they're a foreigner, they're from this country, they're from, they're single or they're blah, blah, right? And they would fight on our behalf. This is just a little bit further than that. It's just the next step.
If I went to the same agency, I could just tell them that we are dosei couple.
Oh, hell no!
And we want to live together, that's...
And you could work together with them to find a plan, to come up with a plan.
So I think the customer service experience will be much better because I feel like they understand my difficulties.
Because in North America, we'll apply through the paper or online personally. We don't go through anyone. So it would be really difficult for me to do this consistently and have people be like, gay people? hang up, right?
Yeah.
It'd be really hurtful and stuff like that each time.
Yeah.
So that's another really positive thing is that they're doing it for you. So sure, they'll probably be like, oh, sorry, you were rejected from that place. But it kind of, for me, that would make me at least, I don't have to experience that consistent rejection all the time. And that is another reason why I would think about going to them as well.
Yeah. Another thing about them is they actually host like seminars.
Really?
For the landlords. So they educate them on
Oh, nice.
the issue of LGBTs.
Not to be bigots.
Iris also offer share house as well for gay people.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, can you imagine what that'd be like?
君はエッチな人だ
Okay.
まあそう言ったらさ出会いの場じゃないのと思った。It's like perfect, right? I mean, lots of men and women choose to live in share house, like terrace house とか、そういう恋愛のイメージあるじゃない？Because as an
No,
adult,
it's an outdated sort of idea of like, you know, nudity and stuff like that. What if like the girl was showering and came out and the boy saw, even though the boy doesn't care or whatever. I think it's just simpler when you just put everyone of the same sex together.
yeah, that's how love happened on campus, in school, workplace, and you just have
Yeah, I don't
another
think
place.
that's the point though. I think that's a byproduct. But it does sound like a great show, doesn't it?
Hello, I'm Maria Kondo.
Especially if you want to like make new friends or like learn the language and you want
Yeah.
to live with like local people, like share house is a legit option and it's much cheaper and also you don't have to buy your own furniture.
So tell us what your experience was when you came to Japan. If you came here and were looking for places and stuff like that, like everyone I'm sure has their struggles. We'd be really interested to hear how it went for you.
最初グーじゃんけんぽん
Truth. Sure.
Choose. Okay. You want to do choose, right?
Yes. You can't keep on changing the questions until you get something that you like.
Tell the story of your first time in a sexy voice.
I was with a guy who recently broke up with his boyfriend. Eventually, he came over to my house. We were going to bed together, and it was on a futon, on a tatami mat. He was just like go the whole way sort of thing.
Where are the jokes?
I mean, how sexy do you want it? That's the
No, you
whole
should
thing.
be like, oh, the first time he was in my body, it was like warm.
I know, it
I
wasn't.
feel-
It was I fucked him.
If you want us to react to your choose or dare next time, comment below.
And then we'll choose one out of the list. We'll respond to it in the next video.
Thank you. Bye bye.
See you next time. Bye bye.